So, okay, like I said, today we're going to do something definitely a little bit different. And I really do think you're going to enjoy it. I hope that you do. I hope you find it to be of interest and some value. But the main thing is you can incorporate what we're going to go through today into your own system. And if the opportunity presents itself when you're working with clients, you should definitely consider getting them into something similar. So, what we're going to do, if I can just get this working, there we go. If you recall from the very beginning, and you might not recall this, I don't expect you to remember everything I talk about so much, but at the very beginning, when I started my journey, I suppose, in the personal development, when I told you when I was having my health issues, I told you how I started researching all the different personal development programs out there. Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, literally anything that I can get my hands on. But I had always been a big fan of Tony Robbins. And I had been using neuroassociative conditioning for a number of years before I even created this system, but only in business. So when I was doing my research, I started with Tony, and but specifically what I was looking for in the early days when I made the decision that I had to create a system for myself was I only was researching individuals that had some form of a system of personal development. And Tony does. Tony's got actually his RPM system, but it's based more around, well, it's more about planning and time management. But it has a lot of the core elements that we actually use today. A lot of the strategies that I got for our system originated with this. It's called The Time of Your Life. Tony Robbins' Time of Your Life. It's a pretty in-depth program based around time management. But again, a very unique way of doing it. It's more results orientated rather than just managing to-do list. But when I was doing my research, I came across it, and I had a couple of options. I could have either flown, I believe it was to Fiji, and went to a weekend course, which I didn't really have an interest on doing because it was several $1,000s. And as much as I would love to go to Fiji and hang out with Tony, I wasn't prepared to invest that kind of money for what I was viewing as a time management system. Or he had an audio program. The audio program was 10 90-minute sessions over a 10-day period. And obviously that's the option that I chose. And it was still quite expensive, but you're going back a long time ago. This is back when there were CDs still. But it was a really great system, a really effective time management tool. And to this day, I still use it, a form of it. But what I've done is I've made some modifications. Now, again, like I say, initially when I was researching this, I was researching to create my own system. And I really did. I got so much out of this system that's incorporated a lot about focus, a lot about purpose, a lot about balance. All comes from Tony's in this system. Now, obviously, I made some modifications. I incorporated the dashboard, and I incorporated the point system, for a way of keeping balance. The pain pleasure principles, where you link up pain to your good days and pleasure to your inaction. Incorporated Napoleon Hill's definite major purpose, which we went through on the session on purpose in great detail. And we're going to go through a little bit more again today, because part of that's going to be incorporated to what we're doing here as well. But then again, just other techniques as well, as Tony Robbins, when I was researching like the 5-second rule, which is one of the neurosciences that we can use to go ahead and interrupt our limiting patterns and beliefs and habits. Very powerful tool for that. And then again, we mixed in the whole accountability, which is really, really the glue. that really holds a lot of what we're doing together. And again, that actually, a lot of it came from studying online, but the real, um, I guess, eye opener was when my wife was using it with some of her clients, a version of our system with her clients in her psychotherapy class, at her general practicing, not for any of the, well, the more serious clients that she's working with, but just for general counseling, she was using it and getting some phenomenal results. And she identified it was the accountability that they kept coming back. So when we mixed in all these things together, Tony Robbins with his Time of Your Life program, you know, all the other factors with the dashboard and the points, and Mel Robbins, and the other neurosciences that we use, and then put in the accountability. Well, that's what really kind of made up the system and formed what we're using today in the network. But what I want to do today is I want to really try to get into identifying some of the elements that I took out from the Time of My Life program, just again, so everybody can get a very clear picture. What I want to do is, rather than me trying to give an introduction to the Time of Your Life, I'm going to play the very opening from Tony. I'm only going to play about 4 or 5 minutes of it because I'm cautious of copyright laws and things like that. But I don't think he'd be too bothered, truthfully. It's 10 CDs, 90-minute each, so I don't think he'll mind me borrowing 5 minutes at the very beginning to play for you here today. But let me know if you have any problems hearing it or anything else, but it should come in pretty clear for you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit more in-depth look at exactly what the whole thing is going to entail.
Hi, this is Tony Robbins. Listen, I want to welcome you to the time of your life. And I want to thank you and tell you how excited I am and how privileged I feel to be able to spend this time with you. Together, we're going to figure out how to really take control of your life at a whole new level. How to experience not only the results you want in your life, but the joy and fulfillment that should come with it. So my purpose in putting this program together is for you to experience a massive increase in the quality of your life. Not just be a great planner, not just somebody who can, do your to-do list. That's the last thing we want. We want to make sure that this journey of yours called a life is a masterpiece, that it has all the color and texture and beauty and love and achievement that you deserve. But it won't come about just by simply going out and making those to-do lists and trying to control everything and direct everything. It comes from understanding what makes you tick, what drives you personally on a regular basis, what's going to move you to action. Why is it sometimes you keep saying, this is what I want to do, I know I have to do this, I know I should do this, but you don't follow through? Why do you delay things to the last minute and get so darn stressed? Wouldn't it be nice to get rid of all that? Wouldn't it be nice to be in a place where your life felt like it had such incredible balance and strength and power that whatever it is you really wanted to set forth, whatever outcome you had, whatever it is you were after, you felt you had a real plan that you could quickly put together and make happen. And not only could you do this for yourself, but you could also do it for people you cared about. You could do it for your kids. You could show them how to turn their dreams into reality, and you could teach them the same system. It's so simple. Couple of steps, and you begin to think and behave differently than everybody around you. Because, everybody's got their dreams. Everybody's got their goals, but very few people are living them. And the difference between having them in your mind and actually living them is knowing how to create a plan that's really achievable and that will drive you. So how are we going to do this? Well, we've got to develop a simple system. A system that'll just become a habit for us, that'll get us to consistently get what we want instead of reacting to our environment. It's a couple questions we're going to ask in our head that will get us to think differently than other people, so we'll get different results. And it's always blown my mind studying human behavior, studying the patterns of success and the patterns of failure. What makes the difference in people's lives? Why do some people seem to develop lives of such frustration, such overwhelm, when they have so much opportunity in front of them? They got the talent, they got the skill, and yet they got nothing but regret about their life. They achieve things, but they're not even happy about what they achieved. And then there are other people that have been given every challenge you can imagine. Things outside their control, things that were unjust. And yet somehow they knew what they were after. They knew what their purpose was. They knew what they wanted to achieve, what they wanted to give, what they wanted to create. And they lived lives of such happiness, such fulfillment, such joy. The difference is in a system of thinking. And I'll tell you what it is. People who fail to achieve what they want start out by thinking about, what do I got to do? That's what they do. What do I have to do? Oh, I have to do that and that. And that's why they never do it. Because you know what? If you ever thought about what it took to achieve where you are in your life right now, all the things you were really proud of, you probably wouldn't have begun. I know I wouldn't have. If I thought all the crap I was going to go through, I got to tell you something, all the things I'd have to figure out and resolve, I think I would have just said, maybe I should try an easier path. But achievers don't do that. Achievers never start by asking, what do I do? They always ask, what do I want? That's the genesis of something magical. What do I really want? What do I want in this relationship? Not what do I have to deal with? What do I want in this job? What do I want out of this conversation? What do I want out of this day? What do I want out of this week, out of this month, out of this year, this decade of my life? What do I really want? Most of us never take the time to ask that because we're so busy responding to the wants of everything else, the desires of everyone else, the urgencies of the world, that we're busy just trying to keep up. We're responding to our darn email and to our voicemail and everything else. We don't stop and say, whoa, 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 whoa. What do I really want out of the next 10 minutes? What do I want out of this minute? What do I want out of my life? Until, you know what happens? Most people reach a point in life where they want to stop it all because they've been doing everybody else's wants except theirs. And they are really frustrated. And they have what they call an identity crisis, a midlife crisis, a post-life crisis, a pre-life crisis. I don't know, something. All it really is a person saying, wait a second, I've been living by everybody else's wants but mine. Stop, I got to figure this out. But you know what? Even then they're stressed. They don't know the methodology to get clear about what they want. So if you want to get clear about what you want, the simple thing you got to do is start asking yourself, what do I really want from this situation? What's my outcome? And then get even more specific. You might say, well, I want to be happier. I want to lose some weight. Well, fine. I want to make some more money. Fine, here's $2. Get out of here. It's the metaphor I always use. But you got to get more specific. What specific result do you want? And better yet, what specific result are you committed to?
Again, very brief introduction to the time of your life. But as you can see, it's very system orientated, but it's more a system of thinking, which is really powerful. It's a system of thinking as far as through the power of questions, trying to direct your focus to what is it you actually want? What's the outcome you're trying to achieve? And that can be very powerful. We don't want to turn one thing we don't want to do with our system is turn it into a to-do list. Again, that's the whole thing about focus, balance, and purpose. That purpose should be your drive, your objective, what you're hoping to achieve. And again, you're going to see as this progresses, how we kind of tie it in to what we're doing here now with our system. But it is very powerful what he's using. And if you get the opportunity, I would strongly encourage you to go ahead and take it and actually participate in the time of your life. It is a very good course. It is expensive, but it is a very good course. But I can tell you right now, there's a lot of stuff you can just go on YouTube and check out that's free. There's so many different breakdowns. If you go just onto YouTube and type in Tony Robbins Time of Your Life or Tony Robbins RPM Rapid Planning Method, you're going to find tons of stuff and tons of different examples of showing you exactly what you need to be doing. So inside the time of your life, a big portion of the program is all based around the rapid planning method. And the rapid planning method is, RPM, he refers to it as. And it is a very powerful system. And what I'm going to do now is I pulled this off YouTube. This is an introduction to RPM, and then we're going to get into it from our perspective. But you understand now what the time of our life program is. It's it's a weekend long, or it's 10 90-minute sessions if you get it on audio, all based around a system of thinking. How you can basically focus on the outcome, how you can be more productive, focus on achieving, not so much the task, not so much the activities. But he's going to get down to it a little bit more in this video here. And this one's about 6-7 minutes long. But like I say, we'll play this and then we'll go ahead and we'll start getting in a little bit deeper.
Change question, change life. When it comes to planning your life, I want to get you to learn to ask 3 questions now. And the first one is not, what am I going to do? And how many understand why now? Say I. The question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want? What's my outcome? What's my result? The word RPM, the first one is to get you focused on the target. The target is not the activity. The activity can change. It's what's the result I'm after. If you know exactly what it is you really want, what you desire, what you're really after, clarity is power. The more clear you are on specifically what you want, the faster your brain can get you there. But if you're generally saying things like, what do I want? Well, I want more money. Fine, here's $1, get out of here. Did you achieve the outcome? Yeah, when you're that general, you think you're not getting your goal, you are. The way you language your goal, the way you think about it, you're receiving it. I want to feel a bit better. I want to lose some weight. Fine, you lost a pound, you're done. Because your brain's like a servo mechanism in a bomb and a missile. The old days, you shoot a missile and the target was going, and if you missed the trajectory, you missed it. Today, what happens when the missile's not on course? What happens? It locks on the heat signature. What does it do? It moves and follows it. That's the way your brain is if it knows the outcome, if it knows the result. So RPM starts with, I got another result. This is a results planning system. The rapid planning method, you can think of it as a results planning system. I need to know the result I'm after before I ever ask myself what to do. That takes more time, but it's worth it. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to do this with you right now, but I'll tell you what I do when I've taught this to people and I've got a full weekend to do this in. Just give you a picture. If I asked you right now to write out your name, your full name. Now, some of you abbreviate your signature, but write out your full name in cursive. Go and do that one time. Write out your full name in cursive. I can't even use the word cursive. Is that really the word people still use? It means in handwriting, I guess, but in cursive. Just write it out full name, because you can do this later on. Now, if I had you get with a partner, and you can try this later if you want, I'm just going to tell you because I don't want to take the time because we have such limited time today. And I have your partner say to you with a stopwatch here, okay, ready? And I go, go. And you write it out. And you tell me when you're done. I go, stop. I write down how long that was. So let's say you wrote out your signature and it took 5 seconds. And then say, ready? Write it out. Ready? Go. You tell me when you're done. Stop. And I write down 5 seconds. I have to do that 10 times. You'll find in the beginning, you'll be, let's say, 6 seconds. I'm making it up. Everybody's signature is different. And you probably might get down to as little as 5 seconds. If you have like an iPhone, you could do it as a digital stopwatch. You could see the milliseconds. Then I say to you, I want you guys to write every other letter in cursive. In other words, you're going to write half as many letters. How long do you think it would take to do it? Half as much time? Most of you, it'll take twice as much time in the beginning. And then eventually, what's interesting is, if I do it 10 times, and the last 2 or 3, and this makes no logical sense, and again, I don't want to take the time to have all of you do this 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, but you can go do it on your own. I'll just tell you the result. In most cases, even though you're doing half as many letters, you cut it by 2/3 of the time. There's something happens when you break an old pattern and you do it fresh. Your brain over the years has learned ways to move more rapidly since when you did your original signature, and you'll do it in 1/3 the amount of time. It'll take twice as much at first, and then it'll cost you 1/3 amount of time. Now, let me tell you why I'm telling you this. The system I'm calling the rapid planning method, by the time I show it to you, you're going to go, this takes more time than just making my to-do list. It will win. When will it take more time? When? Initially. But once you get it in your nervous system, it'll take you less time because your brain will be thinking in outcomes and not activities. And when you think in terms of outcomes and not activities, pretty soon, some of the activities in your list you don't even need to do to get the outcome. You find a better way to get the outcome quicker. Now, how do you do that? Yes, 3 questions. Question 1, what is my result? What is my outcome? What is it I really, truly want from this? If you're going back next week, and you say this next week, what are the most important what? Outcomes for me to get this week in my business. And you just write those outcomes out, not your action items, the outcomes. If you do that, nothing else, you'll be ahead of the game. If you just keep looking at those outcomes every day, how am I doing on that outcome? Your brain will come up with ways to get to that outcome. I promise you. Focus on outcomes, not on activities. Action for most people, activities, most people may mistake movement for achievement. They mistake action items and to-dos for achievement. We're after the achievement. Are you with me on this? Yes or no? It's a different way of thinking, and I think all of you inherently have it. But if you make this ritualized, just like the things you've learned this week, they're all great, but if you don't systematize them, they'll work when you do them. But if you systematize them, right, and you see like Mr. Hallman here, where he goes in and just does it and makes sure it's being done again, or what you've seen Chet do, or what I do. You just do it over and over again, you don't miss it. Now the results are geometric. So I want to get you to systematize the thinking, whether you do it visually the way I'm going to show you or not. So, first question, what's the result I'm after? What's the ultimate result? What do I want out of this week, out of this thing, out of my business, out of my life, for my body? And you want to be as what as possible when you describe that outcome, that result. As what? As clear and specific as possible. Generalities will confuse you. So it might take you longer than just writing down call so-and-so to think, if I'm calling my son, I'm going to call Jarek, or I'm going to call my brother. This is what goes through my head before I call him, always. What's my outcome? Because I don't want to just call him. I want Jarek to feel loved by his dad. Or I'm thinking about what's my outcome. I've got to talk to him about this thing that's out there. I got to make sure I get through to him on this because I want to guide him and move him in this direction. That's what I want to be as his father. I don't want to just chit chat. I can do that too. So if you think before every phone call, before every time you're planning your day, and you think before you have any meeting, what do you think the first thing I ask of anyone when we sit down in a meeting is? Okay, what are your outcomes? What are the outcomes for this meeting? First thing I want to know, because if I know the outcomes, guess what? A lot of meetings, they're done pretty quick. Because if I know the outcome, you don't have to go through all the activities to sell me on it. Just, that's your outcome? How do you want to do it? Sounds good to me? Rock. That's how you make a meeting productive. I know a meeting's productive not by the hours or time. Sometimes it takes longer to the outcome than you want, but I'm going to get the outcome. That's, by the way, what you see with me on stage. That's why my times vary. It's based on an outcome. I'm going to get that outcome. I don't give a damn whether it's the right time or not. I want to do it in that time, but I must deliver the outcome. I'm going to get that. And by the way, how many like to have your company focused on outcomes, results, and not activities? Say I. People say all the time, well, did you get that done? Well, I left them an email. I left them a voicemail. I've sent them 3 emails. How many times you heard that? When that happens with me, I'm like, but I don't show it. I just like, really? Wow, that's fascinating. We'll explain about our culture. It's about getting the result. So I can help you if you can't figure another way to do it, but there may be 12 other things we might want to do. Maybe they don't have the answer. Maybe somebody else can give us the answer. The outcome was to get this information, not to leave an email.
Okay, so that's an introduction now. That's an introduction to the rapid planning method, RPM. And you'll notice the core thing that he focuses on is the outcome, the objective. Again, it's a method of thinking, similar to what we do with our purpose. Because if you recall, when we're doing our purpose, well, we tend to focus on that, and through neuroassociative conditioning, if you remember from session number 4, well, what we'll do is we'll interrupt the limiting belief. We'll go ahead and give a new empowering replacement, which is the power of questions. But if you remember, what's the question that I suggest that you always use? What's the objective? What's your objective for that day? Again, similar here. Like for myself, I always interrupt my pattern. I'll ask myself, what's the objective? Well, my objective for today is to live my life to the best of my ability as a happy, well-balanced, strong, independent man. And then I'll ask, well, is this moving me closer or further away from my objective? But again, I get that a lot from the RPM method that Tony teaches. We're going to get into it a little bit more in depth, but I'm going to show you how I've tailored it into my daily routines. So if you look at RPM, how he explains it is, it's a result-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan, or a MAP. Okay, that's what RPM stands for. Results-focused, purpose-driven, massive action plan. He refers to it as the triad. So, what is the result? Well, the result is pretty basic. What do you really want? He gets into being very specific. If you notice there, he uses the example. If you say, well, I just want to earn some more money. Well, here's a couple dollars and I'll go away. You have to be very specific with the result that you're looking to achieve. The purpose. Why do you really want this? What's the purpose? What does it mean to you? Your map, and that's where we're gonna tie it into what we're doing. But what specific actions are you going to take to achieve this? What's your massive action plan? So again, results, purpose, massive action plan. So the key thing to take away from that portion is to focus on the outcome, not the activity. And that really applies a lot to our system. I'm always very aware that I never want to see my system turn into a to-do list. Yes, I want to complete as much of those activities as I can. But to me, it's all about progress. It's not about perfection. I tend to focus on the result that I'm looking for. What's my outcome? I'm not just looking to, get a bunch of quarter points. I know that those points are going to add up and they're going to eventually produce the outcome for me. But if there's another way that I can go ahead and produce that outcome, that's what I'm going to do. Because it's always about the outcome. And that's the way you should be thinking as well. And it's definitely the way that you want to be working with your clients to make sure that they are focused on the outcome. That's why it's so important when you have the one-to-ones that you're engaging with those clients, that you're engaging with them in such a way that you know what their purpose is, you know what their objective is, you know what they're striving for. Because again, if you can see a better way to get them that result, well, that's what you want to be doing. That's what you want to be pushing for. So again, always focus on the outcome, not the activity. The activities will get you there. I'm not saying don't even, worry about them. Of course, obviously, you have to do the activities. But if there's a better way, don't get hung up on just doing the activities. Focus on the outcome. And also, too, as you know from purpose, if you focus on the outcome, well, that's going to give you the motivation. That's going to give you the drive to do the activities, the times that you don't want to do them. But again, one thing I'm very cautious. I always want to make everybody very aware. Please don't ever look at those things, those categories, as a checklist, as a to-do list. Tony talks about how we never want to really focus on what we have to do. You should be kind of focused on the results, the things you get to do, what you want to do to help you to produce those results. Not just a simple to-do list. There's too many time management systems out there, and there's a lot of great ones. Our system is not about a task list. It's not about to-dos. It's about results. But if you look at the way that we do it, and this is what we went through in our session on purpose, we do something very similar. And I'm going to show you how we tie this all together. But if you think about when we did the session on purpose, well, we had a 3-step plan. Okay? And what was the first one? Well, what do you want? Well, again, we went and we decided, and you should make sure that you're reviewing this, but what do you want in each one of those key areas? And to be very specific, and again, this comes from Tony. This comes actually from neuroassociative conditioning. It also comes from Napoleon Hill, who was well before Tony in Think and Grow Rich with his definite major purpose. But what do you really want, and be very specific? Again, focus on the outcome. What's the result that you're looking for? Why do you want it? Again, when we designed our purpose statement, we were very specific. why we wanted it in each of the 4 key areas. Again, same thing Tony is doing. What do you want? Why do you want it? But again, Tony's not the only one who does this. You can trace this to 85 years ago. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich had the same concept. And then, how will you get it? That's your massive action plan. This is the same thing as what Tony's talking about in his RPM method. It's just different wording, but it's the exact same meaning. What do you want? Why do you want it? How will you get it? You're already using this. You're already using this in your system under the purpose. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it to the next level. And we're not just going to use it for a purpose statement, but we're going to start using this on a daily basis for you to become more focused on the results, the objective that you want in those key areas, to go ahead and, well, achieve more, but achieve more and moving you in the direction to achieve your design, your life that you're striving to get to, I suppose. So when we talk about what do you want, well, focus. Focus is the first of the 3 core principles. Focus on what though? Well, typically we focus on the 4 key areas. But what I want you to focus on in this exercise is the outcome. What are you looking to achieve that day? You can do it by the month, you can do it by the week, and you can do it by the day. We're gonna do an exercise here where we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do it by the day. But when you're doing this, you really should try to focus on each of the key areas. What are you looking to achieve that day with your relationships, with your health, with your growth, with your finances? Then what I want you to do is, and again, I'm going to give you an example of this, so don't get too caught up if you're not taking it all in right now. I'm just giving you an overview. But then we're going to decide, why do you want to achieve that? Same thing we did with purpose, guys. The exact same format. We're just going to do it in a little bit smaller detail now. We're breaking it down to the day. So what's your why? What do you really want? And why do you want it? So why do you want to achieve those relationships that day? Why do you want to achieve that health goal that day? What's your why and what's your want? And then we're going to create what I refer to as a well-balanced code of 3 action plan. Now, I have to explain this one because this goes back to years and years and years ago. Because for those of you who don't know, I'll just share it with you very briefly. When I first initially started the system 12 years ago, 10, 12 years ago, whatever it was, I referred to it as the code of 3. The code of 3 was, again, the three core principles: focus, balance, and purpose. So, and that's what I always referred to it as for the first several years that I was using it. As a matter of fact, that's the tattoo that I actually got to symbolize. I refer to it as my life stone. But I actually have that tattoo on my chest as a symbol of the code of 3. But when I talk about create a well-balanced code of 3 action plan, when I'm doing it for the day, well, I try to come up with 3 actions. That's why I say the code of 3. 3 actions that I can take in each one of those key areas to achieve that day's objective. And you'll see as we progress here, I'm going to show you an example in a moment here. So again, if you're not following 100%, don't get caught up in it. But it's not, again, this is not I suppose a task management system, or it's not your calendar, or it's not a to-do list. It's primarily an action plan. So, and you'll see in a moment, but it's important to note that those three things that I'm referring to when I say a well-balanced code of three action plan, well, it's not just three things that you do in each area and that's all you have to do. I like to use what I refer to, or not just me, everybody refers to it as the 80-20 rule. If you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, primarily 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of the results. This is a proven strategy, and it applies to literally anything. But 20% of your clients will produce 80% of your revenue. It's no matter what you're looking at, the 80-20 rule almost always applies. But in this case, 20% of your activities are going to produce 80% of your results. Okay, so when I pick out the three activities that I'm going to focus on for that day to produce the result that I'm looking to achieve, my objective for that day in each one of those areas, well, I'm not picking from, just a small list. Primarily, I use David Allen's Getting Things Done. Now, you use any task list management system that you want, the Ben Franklin, whichever it is. There's 1,000 of them out there. This is the one I prefer. This is what I use as my capture tool, my capture tool, where I capture literally everything I have got to do. And I've got different lists in there, and there could be as many as 40, 50 things on each list that I need to get done. But what I do is I'll pick out the top three that I believe from that list that are going to produce the most 80% of the results that I'm looking to achieve that day. So again, when I talk about three things, yes, I pick out three things on my action plan, but it's not my only task list. I have a very, very effective way of managing and capturing and systemizing literally everything that comes into me that I have to get done each day, each week, each month, each year. And if you're not using it, if you're looking for a good system, David Allen's Getting Things Done, or GTD as it's known, is a fantastic system. I've been using it for years. But getting back to this, Tony goes and, matter of fact, I think Sean was just showing me he's got one of these. I have one of these as well. I don't use it. I haven't used it in years. I could even find it if I had to. It comes when you buy the course. It's just a time management folder. But he suggests that you use this, of course, because truthfully, he's going to make money when you buy the fillers. You don't need to. You don't need to use this at all. You can use a blank, just notebook to do the exact same thing. And you can do the same thing with what I'm going to show you now. I started out using his system. Then I migrated just to a blank notebook like this. And now I do it all on a note capturing app. I do everything myself. Personally, I use Evernote. You can use Evernote, you can use OneNote. There's tons of different note capturing tools or apps that you can use. I personally like Evernote only because when I do it, I can put tags on there with based on different, rather it be for my relationships or rather it be something that I'm doing for my health or my growth or my finances. I can put months and dates and just categorize things, very effectively with tags under Evernote. But I won't get into that now. But if anybody does ever want to see a really good method for doing it, I can give you a private session on it. I can show you how I set mine up in Evernote. But you could do the same in any of them. OneNote, any of them, they all have the same. But this here, and I'm going to make it bigger. If you can't see it, don't worry about it. This is an example of what I do every day as part of my routine, part of my morning routine. And again, it's based on the RPM, and it's very similar to what Tony does, but I've tailored it specifically for our system. So what I will do, I'll just give you this is an actual one from the 14th of July 2020. So what do I do? Underneath my relationships, what's my outcome for that day? Because remember, first you want to focus on the result, the outcome. Well, I put down just very briefly, well, my outcome for this day was, well, to have an amazing day with Pauline today and enjoy just being with each other, connect with the kids, and enjoy some time on my own working in the shed. For those of you who don't know, I like to go out in my shed and tear apart some equipment. And I listen to a podcast. It's like my man cave out there. But that was my outcome for that day. It's not the only thing I want to achieve with my relationship. But at the end of the day, if I was to achieve that, I'd be satisfied. I'd be content. So I plan my outcome in advance. It takes me 30 seconds to do that. But I just think, I know I go through my list of everything that I have. Am I getting things done? I know what my schedule is. I know how much free time I have. I know where I'm going to be. I pick out from that list, but then I can go ahead and I can design my outcome afterwards. And I do this in my Evernote. Then I just put down, why do I want that? Again, very brief statement. It's a way of thinking, guys. Your mind is going to be directed towards it if you can go ahead and give your mind a reason why. So you have to let your mind know what you're looking to achieve, what's the outcome, and you have to let it know why. So a very brief statement. Well, for me, because my relationships with myself, Pauline, and the kids are the most important things in my life. For me, that's it for me in my life. Those are the key things. Those relationships with my wife, my kids, and myself. Now, obviously, more than that, but they're the key ones for me. So that's why for this particular day, that's my objective with what I want with my relationships. And it's the reason why. And then I pick out 3 activities that I'll get done. Again, a lot more activities to do that day, trust me. But I picked out the 3 because I knew if I could get these 3 done, well, I know I'm gonna pretty much achieve my objective. And just like any other system, guys, you're not gonna always achieve it. Like on this particular day, I achieved the first 2. PC2, that stands for Pauline is my wife. So Pauline Catalan and Patrick Catalan, we got the same initials, so I always just PC square. PC2, walk on the Grand Canal. Just to make sure that we had some good quality time together. We always like to get out for walks whenever we can, if the weather is good, if we have time. So that day we got out for a good long walk on the Grand Canal, which I'm sure was quite enjoyable. Then I put down call Ashley, Caitlin, and Steven. Those are my 3 kids. So they're all living in different parts of the world at this stage. So they're not here to meet with, but make sure that I made sure that I made a phone call or a Zoom call to each one of them, which I did do. So I connected with the 3 kids. Now I did put down that I want to tear down 3 Cisco switches and listen to some Howard Stern out in my shed, just some quality time on my own. I don't think I got to it that day because it's not ticked off. So, but again, that's just a very brief example of using an RPM, result, purpose, and your massive action plan. I have my outcome, which is my result, my purpose, why I'm doing it, and then my massive action plan based around my relationships. Like I say, I do this for each of the 4 key areas, and it takes me literally 5 minutes to do this. So the next one I did was with my health. Same day, this is just all part of that very first one right there. I'm just magnifying it so you can see it clear. But for my health, what was my outcome I wanted for that day? Well, the outcome that would make me satisfied, make me content, eat well, drink plenty of water, and get plenty of exercise. That was the outcome I was hoping to achieve. Why do I want to achieve that? Well, I want to look and feel, my best long term. After all, my health truly is my wealth. Now, that's just a saying I say to myself all the time, my health is my wealth. I believe that. People get caught up on money and things. And again, money's important to me as well. Trust me. Very important. But your health, to me anyway, is my real wealth. Because I don't care how much money I got. If I don't feel good, that money isn't doing me any good. But I also know if, God forbid, all the markets were to crash tomorrow and everything went, tits up, and I just lost everything. As long as I have my health, I know I can always go make a living. I can always earn money if I'm healthy. But I tell you what, if you don't have your health, I tell you, that's when things kind of start falling apart. So anyway, that's my outcome. Eat well, drink plenty of water, get plenty of exercise. My purpose, look and feel my best long term. My health is my wealth. What's my action plan in order to achieve that? Well, I picked out 3 things. Those that's going to produce 80% of the results. 10,000 steps, 2,000 calories, and I'm always battling with this one with my coffee. I drink too much coffee, so 3 cups of coffee max. So, and good for me, I got all 3 of those. Did the same thing with growth. Don't think I did too well with growth there. It doesn't look like. My growth was my outcome. Well, finished writing the first draft of chapter 3 in the book. For those if I never told you, I've written a book called a common sense approach to personal development, that I'm hoping to get published soon. But back then, this was back in July, I was working on it still. I was trying to finish chapter 3 in the book. The purpose, well, to serve it as a tool in my business and assist me in sharing my system with more people. That's the reason I want to do it. So, what's my massive action plan? Well, minimum of 1 hour writing, and then I have CTT, that stands for Creative Think Time. Obviously, well, I don't think I got it because I didn't tick it off. And then I was supposed to start the outline of chapter 4. Didn't get it done. So, and then my finances. Again, the 4 key areas. I do it for my relationships. I do it for my health. I do it for my growth, and I do it for the finances. My outcome? Well, the outcome for my finances, be productive, organized, efficient, and effective throughout the workday, and manage my income and my outgoings as effectively as possible. That was the outcome I was looking to achieve for that particular day. Again, this isn't, long-term goals. This is a daily thing that I do, focusing on the outcome. Why do I want to do this? What's my purpose? Well, to assist me in my goal of creating comfort and security for myself and those I love and care about. That's the reason why I do that. So, what was my action plan? Well, work 8 hours minimum. And again, 8 hours minimum, if you read the outcome, being productive, organized, efficient, and effective. I was obviously working on a Google AdWords campaign that day, so I want to finish that up. And I'm very frugal from time to time. Zero spend. I want to go the whole day without spending literally any money. And I actually do that a lot because I don't really need a whole lot, truthfully. But again, to manage my money effectively, have a 0 spend day. So obviously I achieved that day. So that's it. That's this whole thing that you're looking at right there. It takes me 5 minutes, maybe 10. But it always starts out with this. I go through everything on my getting things done list, all my to-do list, and there could be 150 things on there, but you're not going to get all those things done. So what I do is I use the 80-20 rule. I pick out 3 in each key area that I know are going to produce 80% of the result that I'm looking to achieve that day. But again, that's primarily, in a nutshell, everything that Tony Robbins is talking about in his RPM method, his rapid planning method, the result, the purpose, and his massive action plan. I do the exact same thing, but I break it down by the 4 key areas. And you can do it too. It's not difficult. It's just like he said there at the very beginning when he was talking to the audience there. When you first start doing it, yeah, it takes time. It takes a lot of time to kind of get into the habit of doing this and, structuring your mind in such a way. But after a while, I'm not exaggerating. I get this done every morning as part of my morning routine. 10 minutes max. And I say probably less than that, probably 6, 7 minutes. I get this done. Because again, you go through your task list, you know exactly what you got to do. You pick out 3 in each of the key area that you can go ahead. And then as far as coming out with the outcome and the purpose, those become second nature. But again, you're just writing them down just to program them into your mind. That's the reason you're doing that, guys. The reason you're writing them down is to program them into your subconscious mind. So, and then just a quick action plan. And again, that's what I work off. Plus, when I get those things done, I'm going back and forth between that and my other list as well. But other than that, in a nutshell, that's the Tony Robbins RPM method. Hopefully you guys got something of benefit from all of this. I know it's a lot. I'm available afterwards. If anybody's got any questions or anything like that, drop me an email, drop me a WhatsApp. I can jump on. Well, I have another call that I have to jump on here in about 15, 20 minutes, so I don't have too much time, but I can arrange to go ahead and we can set something up that I can get into more detail on this. But it's a good thing for you guys to go ahead and incorporate into your own systems. And it's a very powerful thing that you can start working on with your clients once you build up enough rapport with those individuals. But again, you have to make sure when you're structuring those one-to-ones that you're doing it in such a way that, you're doing it in such a way that you know what they want in each one of those key areas. So you can make sure that you're kind of guiding them along, get them to focus on the objective. But then you could break it down from their long-term objective and break it down to what you have to do today to start getting closer to moving towards that objective. So other than that, I suppose we will wrap it up. Greatly appreciate everybody coming here. And again, any questions, comments, concerns, I want to hear about it. And if anybody wants to get some one-to-one help on setting up their own RPM method, drop me a message. I'll be happy to help. All right, we'll wrap it up there, guys, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks again.